Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. I'd like to welcome each of our witnesses today to today's hearing, and I'd like to thank you for your patience as we postponed this hearing a couple of weeks ago. As the chairman has indicated, this hearing was called in response to recent events in which a large meteor unexpectedly exploded in the sky over Russia, damaging property and injuring people at almost the same time that a small asteroid passed less than 18,000 miles from Earth's surface. While scientists indicate that those two events apparently were unrelated, they both serve as evidence that we live in an active solar system with potentially hazardous objects passing through our neighborhoods with surprising frequency. Indeed, there is increasing scientific evidence that impacts by large asteroids and comets have had profound consequences for life on Earth at various times in the past, even contributing to mass extinctions. While such incidents are very rare, they obviously can cause untold damage and are not something we want to happen, and if we can avoid it. I think it is our increased scientific understanding of near-Earth objects and their potential impact, the Earth, that has had Congress to take this subject seriously in recent years. In that regard, this committee has taken leadership roles on these issues dating back to the efforts of former Chairman George Brown Jr. in the early 90s, a time when references to killer asteroids could still lead to giggles and eye-rolling. Since then, members on both sides of the aisle, including Representative Rohrabacher, former Chairman Hall, and former Giffords, have taken an active and productive interest in this topic, and progress has been made. I hope that today's hearing will provide us with a good update on the federal government's efforts to detect, monitor, and potentially mitigate such hazardous near-Earth objects. Much has been accomplished over the last decade, and I look forward to hearing about those efforts. In addition, I'd like to know if there are additional steps that we should be taking as a country, whether an expanded detection program or international collaborations or other such measures. Well, we have much to discuss today and distinguished panel of witnesses to help us in the oversight. I look forward to hearing from each of you. At this point, I'd like to yield the remaining part of my time to Ms. Edwards, the ranking member of the Space Subcommittee, for her comments.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to note for the record, Madam Chairwoman, that this hearing is part one of the committee's examination of activities related to near-Earth objects. Subcommittee Chairman Palazzo and I will hold a hearing of part two in early April, and so this will be a continuation. And I wanted to note for the record, Madam Chairwoman, that just a month ago, after the events that made the news, my colleague Rush Holt, who's a physicist here in Congress and former assistant director of the Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory, and I co-authored an op-ed that appeared in the Washington Post on February 15th, trying to put into plain language what the challenges are, the research challenges, what the threats are, so that the American people have some understanding that, as both the chairwoman and the ranking member and the chairman have noted, is not new for this committee, but poses challenges for the American people, especially when it comes to resources. I think it's very fitting that the committee is considering U.S. government agency roles and responsibilities in near-Earth object detection, tracking, and mitigation, not only because of recent events, but because we've been at the forefront in setting U.S. policy on near-Earth objects for the past 2 decades. And it was this committee that formulated the provisions in 2008 NASA authorization and subsequent policy direction that called for the Office of Science and Technology Policy to develop policies on emergency response and to recommend a lead agency for protecting the United States. And this depended on NASA, who we always seem to call for 9/11 assistance in all space matters, is in stark contrast to the across-the-board cuts that NASA programs now face under law. And so, Mr. Chairman, I'm struck by how this complex planetary protection issue is and how much farther we need to go, and I'm looking forward to today's testimony, and with that, I yield.